Hey guys, Slender Magic here, and it's time for another overlooked but awesome card. And of course, we gotta go with one of my favorite colors, black. Yeah, no, I say one of, and you guys know that I'm a blue-white player, so blue, white, black are my favorite colors, which is more than half of them. That's almost all the colors. Screw it, I just like Magic the Gathering, how about that? So for this video, we have a pretty famous card. It is triple black in cost, which does very good things to black devotion decks, of course. They really need to bring back devotion or something similar. It is an enchantment, and it was released in 8th, 9th, 10th edition, M10, and Legends. And actually, in Legends, it was an uncommon, otherwise it's always been printed as a rare. This card is so classic black, but there's another reason I like it. So without further ado, let's show it. Underworld Dreams. So it states, whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to him or her. And yeah, of course, I mean, draining away your opponent's life 1 point at a time with triggers and abilities, that is like classic black tactics. Now, if you were to play this exactly on curve turn 3, it's going to do some damage. I mean, remember, they're only at 20 life, and this will probably do... I mean, if the game goes on 5 more turns, 5 damage, which is 1/4 of all of their life, and you don't have to hit them, you don't have to worry about anything, all the creatures in the world cannot stop this, and honestly, who the heck mainboards enchantment destruction? So they're either going to use universal permanent exiling to get rid of this, or they're just going to have to deal with it and play around it. So if you supplement this with creatures that can hit over and over and over, you're good. Now, still, is this an amazing game-ending card? No, not really. I mean, if they're running some kind of blue deck that draws a whole lot of cards, they're going to take 1 damage each. This isn't just, oh, the first time they draw a card, or during the draw phase when they draw a card. And honestly, like a 3-cost flyer that's a 3/1 would probably do more damage in the game. It would be a little bit easier to remove, but if it swung twice, that's 6. I mean, are you really going to let your opponent draw 6 cards without winning? But the answer is maybe. Remember, black is a control color, so it goes after cards in the opponent's hands and removes things from play that are on the field or manipulates them, shrinks them, just whatever. So it is about stall. It's about, shutting down what your opponent is doing. Not quite to the extent of blue, but it also has better creatures than blue. So a very, very basic black strategy is to get something on the field that will slowly drain away their health passively without having to use, brute force in combat, and then mix it with, disrupting what your opponent's doing, removing stuff that they need, either from their hand or from the battlefield, and then supplement it with some kind of horrific creature. It might get bigger over time, it might just have a good ability, it might have a control ability if it's big enough. And then you swing with that, or you swarm with zombies, because, what color doesn't have token swarm? So, I mean, Drana, that card gets bigger every time it hits. You got Fretwork Colony, that gets a counter every upkeep. There's a lot of creatures where they're like, they slowly get monstrous. Either that or every time they hit, they have some horrific ability, something that really supports control. So the whole central theme of that type of black deck is just control, drain away, like attrition over time, and then they just are shut down from doing anything and they can't prevent the damage. Supplement it with some kind of crazy creatures doing who knows what, but in addition to who knows what, also actual damage, and you've got a deck. And that's why black is so popular. It's basically blue and white put together, just not quite to that extent of control and not quite to that extent of dominating combat and having combat tricks. But if you wanted to get a little bit more direct and advanced, instead of just, like a soft logic, oh, this is my strategy, just this is what I'm doing, and I hope it works. If you want a very tight, direct type of strategy, we gotta go into the world of curses, and I would absolutely consider this a curse, even though it doesn't say curse as a subtype and it's not even an aura. Well, let me just say, the only reason this isn't an aura that attaches directly to an opponent is because it hits multiple opponents, so it's actually better than that. But let's talk about curse and stall decks, because right now in Standard, as of, November 2017, it's huge. I mean, not many people are playing it, but the card support is huge, and the people who are playing it are enjoying it. I mean, it's a very tier 2 deck, but it's very, very good. It's beatable because it's slow, but it's just so fun if you're into this type of strategy. So what you can do is you throw all kinds of curses like, the Flip Witch is out of Standard, but Torment of Scarabs. It's like every single upkeep, they're going to lose life, or they're going to lose a card, or they're going to lose a permanent on the battlefield. That is so classic black. I mean, that's the 3 things that it does. So it chips away at them until their board state can't do anything, or their hand can't do anything, or their life total, is so low that they might as well have lost already, especially if you have a little bit of a line of creatures. But if you supplement that with just all in control and maybe we'll say 12 curse cards, now you've got a very different type of deck where it's like, I don't care how many turns you're going to take, you're still going to lose because the more turns I take, the more likely you are to not be able to undo what I'm doing. And in the meantime, I'm undoing what you're doing. So you got your removal, you've got your, maybe hand disruption to get rid of a couple key cards that you don't want them having. Then you've got, the eventually, usually by turn 3, 4, or 5, some kind of curse going on. So every upkeep, every card draw, every whatever, every time they get hit with a creature. Okay, the last one's more of a blue effect, like a Bident of Thassa thing, but you get the idea. It's like every time something natural that would happen in the game happens, boom, you get hit even harder. So mix that with the fact that their creatures are slowly disappearing and they can't swing into a line of 1/1 Death Touchers, and you've just got a stall and curse deck. And that just cannot be understated. I love cards like that. So this isn't just Overlooked but Awesome Underworld Dreams. It's Overlooked but Awesome every type of recurring curse style card ever printed in black. The main two reasons I like them is because you can throw in stuff like Underworld Dreams or basically any kind of ongoing aura, curse, enchantment, whatever, and your opponent's going to just slowly lose every single time that the trigger goes off. And then you could support that with a normal deck, creatures, combat, whatever, pretty typical, traditional, doesn't matter what color you're playing type of deck. Or you could just stall and let effects like this just eventually get them to 0. So that is actually a clever deck style. It's a little bit hard to get 3 games or 2 games in 50 minutes at an actual tournament, but it is so likely to win because, you mix it with even card draw or even just a little bit of a fast threat from creatures, like individual little creatures that can single-handedly win the game. Like a 5/5 flyer for, I think 3 Master of Feasts. They have printed that. Funny enough, that card makes them draw 2 cards every turn cycle, basically. So, yeah, it would go well with this card. So when it comes to sealed or drafting, you really do want cards where it's like, I could throw this in my deck and it will just help. Or I can throw this in my deck in large quantities, especially in Constructed, where you actually have control, and just let that win the game for you, because it's so hard to stop a trigger that's recurring on an enchantment. I mean, that's pretty narrow. If I'm remembering this correctly, there isn't a single card in red that can remove an enchantment from play. At least not in Modern. I think like Time Shifted had some weird stuff. But in Modern, there isn't a way to do that. Just like in Black, 0 cards destroy an artifact. That might have changed after Kaladesh, though. So they're durable, I mean, especially if you target the player. I mean, not many cards give the player hexproof. I can name like 3 of them, and I'm sure there's like 30 more, but I can name 3 of them. So the direct attachment curses and all this drain away stuff, it works. I mean, it is very, very effective. So however you want to play besides these cards, it just works. They're flexible. I love them, and they win games. So much love goes out to the Black Curse cards, and I just decided to pick Underworld Dreams because I love Black Devotion. So hopefully you guys found some inspiration for this. Would I necessarily put it in Commander? No, but it is legal in Modern. Modern's, it's hard to drag a game out to like 20 and single-handedly win with this card, but that's not really the intention of it anyway. But hopefully you guys find something fun to put it in. With 141 votes, it is rated 4.5 out of 5 on average on the Gatherers. So apparently people do think it's a pretty good card. So hopefully you like it too, and I'll see you guys next video.